Hello there, Pastafarians. It's me, Schizophrenic Mitch. Welcome to the stream. Today's stream, May 13th, 12,019, episode 26.
Woohoo!
It's Monday. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I'm getting all my shit ready still. So, listen to this. I got Is this shit broken? I think this shit's broken.
Oh.
Don't you want some of that? How are you?
Can you re-officialize?
Testing 1, 2.
I had all the in
Guys, I fucked up. Guys, I fucked it all up. Let's start over.
I got all the time in the world. Don't you want some of that? I got all the time in the world. Don't you want some of that? Don't you want some of that? How are you? Ooh, 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 ooh. I had all the time in the world. You wanted none of that. I had
Hey there, Pastafarians! It's me, Schizophrenic Mitch. You know, I should put my headphones on. Hey, maybe we should try to see if we can get double headphones in the studio in this machine. Although you can probably hear the machine that we're using to stream to you.
Oh my goodness.
Buzzing and screaming. Fire comes out the back. Some flames.
Some fart flames.
Yeah, fart fires. Anyways, it's me, Schizophrenic Mitch. Thank you for coming to my stream today. I am a Pastafarian prophet. If you don't know, I have been a prophet of Flying Spaghetti Monster for a number of years. The number of years is 3. And, you know, I go out in the world a lot, in the real world. And in this real world, there's a lot of people who believe really stupid shit. And they really do believe it. And they really need to be fucking opposed in this real world. And so, even though I think to myself, good golly, it really is stupid to fucking go out there and waste all my fucking time telling myth believers that they believe in myth. I really have no other option, as there are so many myth believers who believe in myth. And not just silly myth like the stars are just painted on the sky, eh? Not silly things like that. Fucking really grotesque things like God promised me this land. God wants you to cut your dick off, the tip of your dick.
Who you love sexually should be shamed.
Yeah. You go to hell if you suck a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they take those shames and feel like they can start to tell other people how to live.
Right.
And then they go so extreme that they'll kill you.
They'll kill you if you don't follow their rules.
Follow their rules.
Yeah, Muslims are very guilty of this at the moment, eh?
And these are the ones that have told everybody respect their beliefs. And so atheists and are super quiet about it.
Because they don't want to get killed. It's a stupid fucking game where you can die in it and they don't even want to play it. Like, I understand that. I get it. So, Muslims right now, they're in their year, 16 something or other? It's Ramadan right now. And, they are, fasting during the daytime and partying every night. Because Ramadan is the best month of all time, even though it sort of moves around the year. So it's not really a month, is it?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, unless it's on the same part of the clock, it doesn't really. You can't really have a favourite one. I wonder when Ramadan was when Muhammad was a kid, eh? Because that's when you decide what's the best, eh? That's when we all determined that Christmas was rad.
It was the year.
It was the coolest.
Yeah,
Christmas and birthdays when we were kids. So that's when you pick your favourite. So I wonder when Ramadan was when what is nuts. But then the thing is, you know, climate's totally different from what it was back then. Anyway, the point I was trying to make was, if it's the year 1600 for Muslims and they're killing each other for like blasphemy and not wearing the right clothes, eh? And then you're like, look, Christians aren't that bad. It's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be a Christian 1600 years after Jesus. I wouldn't want to be. I definitely wouldn't want to be around them. These guys were some violent motherfuckers.
Crazy.
They had some strange violent ideas.
Yeah.
With spikes on them.
Yep.
So don't listen to liars, eh? I mean, you can listen to them because, you know, everyone's a fucking liar. So listen to them.
Yeah, but
don't believe
follow
them.
them.
Yeah, don't believe their lies.
Don't use them as examples. Like, imitate their. Yeah, I don't know. It's complicated.
You're complicated.
Fuck.
Josephine's really pissed today. She's drinking.
Fuck.
She came into the audience drunk already at noon in the, studio. Into the red light studios. Safeword studios.
It's pretty heavy.
Drinking boxed wine. Cabernet Sauvignon. So, but I'm still smoking the ganj. I have here two sort of models of life to follow. One of them is repentance, repentance for Jesus, and then the other one is the scientific method. They have some steps And then we'll go over footsies. That has some steps too.
Oh.
But repentance is like, they say you've got to recognize that you've sinned. So first of all, you've got to believe in a thing called a sin. Secondly, you've got to feel sorry when you sin. You got to feel bad, right? Then you got to be shitty a little. And then you have to confess and ask for forgiveness. I'm not sure why that's one step. Sounds like two. Recognize, that sounds like confession, right? Same thing, recognizing a sin and then confessing a sin. Like, there seems to be a lot of overlap here.
A lot of steps.
Yeah. Restitution. Now, this one's really interesting because this is the only part of it that actually is repentance, eh? The only part of the methodology that actually means anything. Restitution. Because, because I don't know what a sin is, eh? Sin is a word made up by myth believers. Mm-hmm. It's made up. Mm-hmm. A lot of their words are made up. Faith is made up. There's not a real thing called faith. Soul, that's made up by believers in myth. There's no thing. Spirit. And so when they're talking about that, just get them to define it because there's no definition, right? Yeah. So, if you're like, well, what do you mean by that? Yeah. And then just, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that thing you believe in. Mm-hmm. But restitution. So restitution is the only thing that actually helps out. Like, if I slap my kid, right, and then I go, kid, I slap you, that sucks. The restitution isn't like give them money and candy. It's the apology. It's the recognition in front of them, right? Mm-hmm. Because the crime there is, you're so wrong that I have to resort to violence to explain it to your stupid mind. And then it's like, no, I was fucking wrong. You weren't so wrong. That was me. And you got to. So that's the restitution. Is that no? I don't believe in that world that I was. That world that I was showing you wasn't true. So that's how you restitute that situation. Is you clean it up in their head. But that's part of the recognize and the step 5 is resolve to do better. Recognize, confess, resolve to do better. They're all exactly the same thing. Yeah. When you say to yourself, that there's better options in those circumstances. I took this option last time or previous to now, and it's a really dumb and bad option. Like, those are all the same thing. Recognize, confess, resolve to do better. They're all exactly the same thing. You realize that I'm going to do better next time. Like, if you recognize something as less than optimal, you're resolving to do better next time at the same time, at the same moment. That confession moment is a very important moment. And it's in here 3 times. Recognize, confess, resolve. And then the 6th one is to give thanks. In this thing for this, I just grabbed this off some random Christian. Yeah. Give thanks, right? To thank Jesus for the opportunity to do it, right? And so first of all, if there's no one to give thanks for, and it's 2, right? And you're training yourself to give thanks to someone, that's really infantilizing, right? It's really, you're patronizing yourself. Yeah. Right? If you're giving thanks to rocks that don't deserve the thanks, then you're just an idiot. You're fooling yourself. And so the thing that I really don't like about this list is that the God of the Bible has never done any of this. Like, the God of the Bible's never thanked his kids for being themselves. You know. Yep. He never says thank you for being you, Moses. I'm so happy to see uniqueness in this world, and seeing you and your foibles and your strangenesses makes me really understand that love conquers all, whatever, right? Never thanked anyone. He's right? When Moses did the stuff, Moses, do this! And Moses did it, and he's like, thanks, Moses. I really couldn't do that shit myself. It really makes things a lot better now. Never once did that. He never recognizes or confesses or resolves to do better, right? He always avoids that shit, the God of the Old Testament. He's always like, well, no, what I did wasn't actually bad. from a certain point of view, right? That old Jedi thing. And I do invite you to go back and recognize that the Jedis are the bad guys. Jedis are super, super bad.
Wow.
They pretend that there's a light side and a dark side, and it's just the fucking Jedi killing everybody. So Luke's got it at the end, right? When he's like, it's time for this Jedi bullshit to be over.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because
And Kylo has it too, right? He tells Rey that it's just like, no, they're the ones who are creating this.
Yeah, Kylo sees through it. Kylo and Luke are coming from the same place of like, it's the system of hate that we're caught in, and we just got to get out of it. Yeah. Because, you know, Obi-Wan comes back from the fucking dead to talk to Luke, and Luke's confused about it for like a moment, and then regains his shit, and he's like, hey, by the way, you lied to me, Ben. Don't forget, Ben, that you lied to me about the fate of my father. A person who came into my life who should know the fucking story came in and told me a fake story about the death of my dad. And then Ben's like, well, is it really fake if you live in a fake world? You know, if you look at it like this, if you say that there were two people inside your father and one of them rose up and killed the good side, and then the bad side stayed there, then it's true from a certain point of view. And it's that line right there, right? From a certain point of view. Which means it's true, but it's not, right? It's true if you change the world to be something other than it is. Yeah. It's true if you, from a certain point of view. And that's Obi-Wan. Literally told Obi-Wan to do that. The Jedi are the ones that say, you're with us or against us. You know, the Jedi are the ones that say it's our way or violence is coming at you. So, you know, here's little fan theories for you guys. Just a little bit. But, I think that, Qui-Gon was a Sith. Hey, I think he was, that guy that made the... I think Dooku just claimed credit for it.
Or I think he was one of those trying to fix it from within. He knew that the Jedi were the bad guy.
Yeah, that's the Sith.
Oh.
The Sith were doing that.
Goodness.
Yeah, they were fucking up the Jedi.
They're the ex-Mormons, so to say, of seeing the truth and then villainized.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to say ex-Mormons because, you know, they're all killing each other. They chop each other in half and stuff.
Right.
I'm not trying to kill nobody.
But like in theology ideas.
No, because there's only ever two, even though there were four at one point.
So it just seems like everyone's lying.
Right, but some of them pretending they're the good guys.
Yes. Yep.
And so if you're using the same tactics as your enemy and pretending you're the good guys, you know, no, you're playing a shitty game. There's no good guys in this game.
Right, that's where they've gone wrong. Is
right.
Thinking that there's good guys.
Right.
And that they're the good guys.
Right. Believing their game when the game says, okay, there's good guys and bad guys, and
Yeah.
that's not true.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the scientific method.
Ooh.
Test ideas by experimentation and observation. Build upon those ideas that pass the tests. Reject the ones that fail. Follow the evidence wherever it leads, and question everything. See, those things are fun.
The last two I incorporate into my life.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Question everything? You like to question everything?
Yeah.
And then follow the evidence wherever it leads?
Yes.
But you don't like to eject ideas that fail? You don't like that?
No. I was just thinking about I need to find a way to get that into my system. Changing and pointing out bad ideas and then changing them, throwing them out.
How was your Mother's Day?
It was great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was awesome.
You a mother?
I am.
I'm not a mother, I'm just a motherfucker. That's right.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you get delicious treats?
I did all day long.
All day long, delicious treats?
Yeah. Yep.
So a lot of, Josephine, I know a lot of people who go into the porn industry are just trying to earn their mother's love, their narcissistic parents' love.
Yeah.
So I heard that you were raised by a narcissist. Is that true?
I was. That is true.
Was that fun?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
It was very lonely.
Lonely?
And confusing.
Tal Moore says, hello, Mitch. Uh-oh. I don't think I know how to read anymore. I think something's wrong with my brain. We get... Hello, Mitch, we get... I'm not sure, really. I think 7 is the answer. Yeah.
I think it's more of how are you?
Oh, I'm well.
That's good.
7 on a scale of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep, that's well.
So you're just talking about narcissistic parents.
Oh, yes.
All of us who are raised in cults have narcissistic parent figures. The god of most of these religions is. It's very hard to earn his love.
In fact, the closer you study and look, it's impossible.
It's very hard. It's very hard to get him to show love. Show me the love.
For someone that never even shows up.
Yeah.
It's very strange, this dedication. But I guess, that need to be validated, to be loved by someone who's unlovable just really catches into our hooks.
Yeah. Right. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. Is that the unloving can say to people very easily. Well, it's I don't want to say it because I don't say it so well. Pheromone Tree says it really well. He explains how if you just have something in your mind that says I like to be loved, then you're fucked. Like, you're setting yourself up for all of these fucking traps. But I mean, it's the same thing of like I like to eat food, and it's like you're setting yourself up for these traps. Here are the traps. Someone could put food in a box, and you'll be like, go into that box and eat the food, and then never be able to get out of the box. See how easy it is to set a trap for someone who likes to eat? You can poison them, You can give them food, everything's fine, and then inside that food is a tiny little bit of undetectable poison, and then it fucks them up. See how easy it is to set a trap for someone who needs to eat? And so for something that needs to be loved, you can say, alright, here's a box, it will love you if you treat it right. And then there's nothing inside the box, right? And then the thing just spends its whole time, the thing that needs to be loved, trying to figure out what it's doing wrong. Because that box definitely can love them if they do it right, and they want that love. And so they just work hard at that problem of, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why won't this box love me? Before they'll just waste their whole life away before they even question, can this box love? Is that true? Is this a love box, or have I been lied to? Like, a person who thinks there might be love in a box will spend a long time before they're like, there's no love in that box.
Yeah.
So that's our problem with God, is God can't love you. He can't. There's 5 languages of love. We talked about this years ago.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they are? One of them is like hanging out with people. Right?
Yeah,
Fun.
quality time or something like that.
Yeah, quality time. Another one is like stuff. Right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Giving them stuff.
Yeah.
One of them is obedience, which really blows my mind. I don't understand how that is.
It seems so incorrect. It seems like it's a leftover idea that we've shown is no longer true. It's weird.
That's how are you in German? Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Why gets? I forgot you would know a bit of German if you were Pastafarian like yourself. I thought you would know a bit of German. The Flying Spaghetti Monster visited in Germany. Yes, Brother Spaghettis over there in the Germany area is a prophet of Flying Spaghetti Monster. He's doing very, very good work over there. But no, my mind is not very good at a second language. I'm very bad at it. I'm not too great at English as far as like pointing out the prepositional phrases and stuff like that. But I'm horrible at all the other languages that exist in the world. But here are the 5 languages of love.
Let's hear 'em.
I have them in a list here. One of them is 4. Number 4 is quality time. Number 5 is physical touch. Number one is not these aren't numbered in any order. These are 5 languages.
Right. Yeah.
Words of affirmation, gifts, and acts of service. So, yeah, I think.
don't see any.
Yeah, I think they're sort of restating one of the ones here. I think this acts of service is
Gifts.
yeah, I think they're conflating things and separating things out, because words of affirmation, a lot of these don't make sense to me, because that's the thing is you don't value them all the same. They're in a list in your mind of, like, in your guts, right, of things you enjoy, right? And so, anyway.
And can we have any number of these? If these were correct, by the way, can a human have all 5 of them, or just one of them, or?
Remember, I have.
Where they feel in their guts that they enjoy this.
No. That's the thing. Is 3 of them don't even work on you. That's the thing. You're broken.
Wow.
You only count 2 out of the 5. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Is that they're in a list, and the bottom 3 you ignore. The top one is your main one.
Okay.
And then there's another one, a secondary one you have that you also like, and then you're pretty much deaf to the other 3. And everyone's like that.
Okay.
And so, if you and someone else disagree, right? If you have 2 and they have 2 others, right? Because it's possible out of 5.
Right.
Then you'll never fucking be able to tell each other you love each other.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
it's an impossibility. You guys can't hear it from each other. And so here we go. These are the languages of love. And how many of these languages does the God of the Old Testament speak? Is what I'm sort of going for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's start from the bottom. No.
Let's start off from the bottom. He never does physically touch you. Never.
Never ever. He never spends quality time.
He
with
will
me.
not spend any time with you.
He's never talked to me. He's never come and hung out with me.
Words of affirmation are impossible. He doesn't talk to you.
Yeah.
He doesn't say you're doing good. He says you're doing bad.
Yeah, I've never received a physical gift from him.
Unless, that's where confirmation bias can show up, right?
Yes.
And so humans who like gifts can sort of see that there. And quality time, you can count the Bible as like He's with me,
Whenever
and like
you feel that
you can make some of these
warm-
things up, acts of service. But I think that's the same as gifts, the enrichment of someone. And then I think like just straight up obedience is one. I think just people just sort of
Just obeying.
agreeing with you, and like and letting you be stupid is another one. And maybe that's words of affirmation. Maybe that's what. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Because there is that one that people just want to be right in front of their friends. They
Right.
don't ever want to be criticized, or they just want to be fluffed, right?
Sure,
Fluffed up.
sure, vocally.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's different than any
Obedience.
of these.
Like
Yeah.
obedience is a weird word for it. So maybe it's words of affirmation. Acts of service and gifts I don't see as different. So and if gifts really is your language of love, I mean, that's sort of a bit literal, right?
Yeah.
Talmor says, I know English, German, Hebrew, a bit of Spanish, and a little bit of Tolkien Elvish. Which Tolkien Elvish? The Sylvan or the Kenyan?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It takes a lot of brain power.
It does.
Memorization.
Yeah. It's really good for your brain, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we in America are really bad at it because we hate our southern neighbors.
Yeah.
So we should be learning.
And our northern neighbors. We could be learning French,
Yeah,
too.
that's true.
We
Fucking.
could be learning Spanish and French as part of our education in elementary school.
Yeah, we definitely look at Canada and we're all like, what the hell is wrong with you? Why do you still have French? That's so stupid. You should get rid of the French and just be English. We're so fascist, eh? Relatively.
Yeah, pretty gross.
Jesus will save you when you will be Christian, and then the Nazis will strike again, says Talmor. That's a strange prediction. It's very aggressive. We were talking about Jesus. Today, the show, I've called it Jesus lied. Because I get that a lot on the street.
Yeah.
Because I have a sign that says Jesus lied, and they say, what did he lie about? And I don't. I say a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, today we can go over it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. First of all, he sinned. But, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Did Christ sin in big letters?
So, let's find if he, there's another one in here about his lies.
That's cool.
Yeah. I wish there was not so much Jesus in here, but as I am a member of the American,
Do you have any dates for these entries? Do you
No.
know, like, how long it extends from?
What do you mean?
Like, when page 1 was written and page 100?
Uh,
Or that last page even?
Yeah, I can, I mean, not offhand, but you can go look at the videos.
That's true, you did sermons once you wrote in your book. You
Yeah,
might go out and preach from it.
Yeah, if you go hear the thing I'm saying and I'm reading it out of a book, then you go, oh, that's new that day. That's the
Yeah.
first time he said it. And then, you know, he wrote it in between those weeks. Yeah, so you can do that. It took a while. It took a year, an hour. It took about a minute to do it. Where are all the lies? I fucking put them somewhere.
Yeah.
We can, we can just look them up on the internet. I mean, I took them off the internet and put them on the book.
Was it all in one spot, or did you have to do research? Like, jumped from...
Yeah, I gathered them from a couple places. You've got to do research.
Mm-hmm.
Christians are not humble. That's a good one. Scapegoating is blood magic. That's a good one, too. Page 1723. Jesus lied.
Found it.
Yeah. My yoke is easy and my burden is light, he said on Matthew 11:30. I've got my book here. Let's take the time, right? I guess now's the time.
Yeah, the book from when you were a teenager.
When I was a myth believer, yeah. Matthew is right here. Matthew is not the first book of the New Testament written. It's the first book as we read it, but nobody knows why. Nobody has any idea why Matthew comes first. Look at all that. That's stupid. I've got the Mormon one with all these footnotes in it.
Oh, yeah. They take up half the page sometimes.
Yeah, it's really moronic.
So that's not in other Bibles?
No, all this shit is Mormon, right? All these
Wow.
footnotes are Mormon footnotes, yeah. And they, this kind of shit is, what's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. We were just talking about him the other day, though. He wrote Jesus the Christ.
Kimball?
No, Jesus the Christ and the Articles of Faith by Talmage.
Oh.
Is that right? Jeez, that's a stupid name.
Yeah.
Alright, let's read this stupid fucking verse. St. Matthew 11:30. The book of St. Matthew. He says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That's not true. It's not true. In fact, if you labor very hard in your life, and you are working very hard to build a house or something, he doesn't help you at all with that. The literal sort of your burden, your literal physical burden that you've got to do in this house, in this world, which is, enough to kill a man,
Yeah.
It's very, very, he's not going to help you at all with that. The real shit, he doesn't give a shit. Let's back up a little bit. Here it is. Oh, well, here's another lie right before that. Let's go over this because I just spotted another one. They're like fucking fish in a barrel. "And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which had been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day." So there he's saying to a city that he's from. It's his home city, Capernaum.
Oh, okay.
So he's from there, and he went to Jerusalem, and he's in Jerusalem talking shit about his hometown. Small town. Really small town. So that's a bit funny. You know, he's there.
And who's he?
Jesus.
Oh.
Jesus is talking shit about his hometown.
Capernaum?
Capernaum.
Capernaum.
Yeah, it's right around the same place as Nazareth.
Okay.
It's up there on that.
Why is it so new to my brain?
The Sea of Galilee. Yeah, because it's not really called Capernaum. It's not called that, you know, very often. No one uses that word.
Except when he's shit talking about him?
Yeah, when he's talking about him right here, he calls him Capernaum. But
Gotcha.
they're up in, it's
Nazareth
up there.
in Galilee.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the Sea of Galilee is Capernaum. It's the city right next to Nazareth. You know, it's where isn't that where the water to wine thing was? Like at the beginning, he's hanging out with
some wedding.
The wedding of. No, that's the wedding of Cana, isn't it? They're all up there in the north. Okay, so there's the north, Sea of Galilee, and then there's down the River Jordan, and then Jerusalem's there.
Okay.
So you come out of the hick town, where he's from, and then you go down
to the city.
And so he's making fun of the Hicks, basically. So he's saying, "Hey Hicks, Jesus, I was there. I was walking around doing miracles, and you like made fun of me, and you didn't even care." And so you know, it's like Muhammad talking shit about Mecca when he's in Medina, right? So he starts in Mecca, he becomes this crazy guy who talks to God. He leaves Mecca for fear of his life. He goes to Medina, which is like 100 miles away.
Yeah.
And he builds an army there, and then he brings it back and fucking kills everyone in Mecca. And so...
Fucking childhood friends and neighbors and...
Yeah. Fucking told you not to.
How dare you make fun of me?
Well, bye, Mitch. See you later. Later, thanks for coming by. Thanks for
Yes.
stopping by, Talmor. I do hope that you stay safe out there in Crazy Town. And, yeah, thanks again for coming by our streams. We're just going to be talking fucking garbage. You know, homework stuff. It's very boring stuff. But, you know, so many people ask the questions, we've got to go over it. Alright, so anyway, here's the lie, is what he says is, I say unto you that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for thee. Which is not true. First of all, Sodom is a fictitious place. It never really existed. And the judgment doesn't exist. So this threat right here against Capernaum is is bullshit. It's a lie. It's founded on nonsense. It's a bullshit threat that is venting really childish feelings inside this character. And so
Yes, yeah, I can.
he's like, you didn't listen to me, and you're supposed to listen to me because you're my hometown, and you didn't listen, so you're gonna be sorry. And it's a really childish idea. You'll be sorry at the end. God will show you. You should listen to me. It's really stupid. But his statement there about the land of Sodom is comparing a literal place to a non-literal place. And so he's lying, saying that Sodom is a literal place. That's a lie. It's not. Continuing on from there, at the end of time, Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. So, this is another thing that this is part of the John 18:20 lie about how he was saying to the high priest, everything I said in public. And it's like, no, you reveled in the fact that people couldn't understand you. You weren't trying to make your things plain.
Yeah.
You were condemning those in power. You were hiding the truth from them and then laughing at them because they didn't have it. That was Jesus' game a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a shitty move.
Yeah, even the wise ones, not the ones in power. So even the ones that are scholars, he's saying.
Yeah, he's really excited to just turn this whole thing over, call everyone idiots.
Yeah.
He's not trying to save anyone. He's not trying to explain it to the scholars. He's not trying to convert them. He's saying, we now have the truth. It's in our meetings, and it's in none of your
and it's
meetings.
hidden in my stories.
Yeah, and when I go out in public, I'm winking at the truth, but I never say it clear enough that you guys can hear it. And that's the point. He does it on purpose. But that's, I mean, even so, Father, for it seemeth good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me of my Father. And no man knoweth the Son, but the Father. Neither knoweth any man the Father, save the Son. So that's a lie. He's calling himself the Son. And he's saying, nobody understands God as well as I do. And that's not true. It's a really conceited thought.
Yeah.
To think that you understand God better than anyone. You can say there's a lot of messages that you can say that fit next to this, but he didn't say them. He said, no man knows the Father but the Son. He says, neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son. So save means like except for. Mm-hmm. He says no one knows the Father. I do. And so that's not true. Because I know the flying spaghetti monster, eh?
Yep.
And for me to say I'm the only one, that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. And so if he knew, if Jesus was the only one with communication with this creature that he's talking about, then that creature's not the Father, because we all have communication with the Father.
Yeah.
And so if he
we can all
really
feel that.
if it really is unique, this thing that he's trying to teach us, if he is the only one who knows it, then it's he brought this demon into the world, right? Mm-hmm. He brought a unique spirit, not the Father, creator of all, which is what they got to mean by Father, right? Is flying spaghetti monster. And so this whole Son idea, this is Christ making shit up, but we're not even getting to the lie. Hold on.
There's just so much shit in his
And
words.
then, so I'm just continuing it on because, like, why the fuck was he even talking about it? Because he's just ranting like an asshole right now. Mm-hmm. He's just ranting about how mad he is. Ooh. We're gonna win! Our team is the best team! Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavily laden, and I will give you a little rest. We already talked about that. No, he won't.
Yeah.
He won't. He will. You got to work for him your whole life.
Yeah.
You'll never be done.
Yeah.
Rest is not an option.
And one sin means you're unhappy. So, you're always working for that bastard.
Take my yoke upon me. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart. He just proved that he wasn't meek.
Yeah.
He just said,
I'm the only one who knows God. I'm
right.
the only one.
And then calls himself meek. Mm-hmm. So that's really cute, right? No one's as humble as me, he says out loud in the street.
Trumpian.
Right? Believe me, I'm very humble.
Yeah.
Take my yoke, I am meek and lowly in heart, you shall find rest unto your souls. Souls isn't a thing. It was a belief of the time that you were a dual creature. You had meat and spirit. That's not true. It's not right. You don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a thing. There's not a noun that goes somewhere else when it stops occupying your meat. There's no noun that transits. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. I am meek and lowly in heart. Bullshit. I'm reading out my notes here. Suppose ye that I have come here to give peace. Let's go to Luke now. This one is really bizarre. Luke 12. Luke 12:51 is what I'm doing now. 51.
Let's keep reading the words.
The lies of Jesus.
Yeah.
How many? These chapters are way too big. Alright, 12:51. I got it. What the fuck is he doing here? Blah, blah, blah. I gotta read it for the contextualizations. I am come to send fire on the earth. And what will I, if it be already kindled? But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I straitened till it be accomplished? Suppose ye that I come to give peace on earth? I tell you nay, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one household, divided 3 against 2, 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, mother against the daughter, and daughter against the mother. Mother-in-law against a daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against a mother-in-law. So this is a thing that Jesus promised. Okay, first of all, So I'm not even going to talk about how shitty it is, a thing to promise. I'm going to say he's saying, from henceforth, there shall be 5 in one house, divided. He's saying, houses of 5 shall be divided thusly, over me, okay? Over me.
Yeah.
Whereas, John Lennon said, come together right now, over me. Jesus Christ said, be divided forever over me, eh? And so, one of them sort of, it took 2,000 years to refine the idea, but I think we did. And it's not true, by the way. My house is 5 people, and we are not divided over Jesus. Not every family of 5. From henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, 2 against 3. How disgusting that is, though. How disgusting a prophecy that is. Think not that I am come to send fire on the earth. From henceforth there shall be... Suppose I've come to give peace, I tell you rather division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they claim it's religion of peace.
Yeah, same thing with the Muslims, right? Because that's the point about the Muslims, is all they have to do is just keep telling themselves religion of peace, religion of peace. With a religion of peace, it says so right here.
Yeah.
The religion of peace. So I get to ignore all this violence. And so I get to pretend that the main goal is peace, not violence. And the same thing with Christianity is they're like, no, you don't understand. We've come here to make people happy. We've come here to make big loving families. And it's like he says in Luke that every family is going to be divided if you have 5 people. So I guess have 4 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
Just never ever have 5, and you won't be accursed by Jesus. By Jesus the curser. Let's go to let's back up a little bit. Luke 9:27. Here's another one. I've got my book. Listen to the paper thin pages turn. Thin paper pages. Picture pages. What? Is this right? Chapter 9:27? Luke 9:27? Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's more threats. And this is not... So we're looking at the languages of love still. I've got it here. The words of affirmation, right? This is the opposite. Whatsoever shall be ashamed of me, whosoever shall be ashamed of me and of my words, of him shall the Son of Man... Hold on a minute. Whomsoever... I think it's whomsoever. I think he misspoke there. Whomsoever shall be ashamed of me and my words, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed. Son of Man is a really stupid title to be calling yourself if you're the Son of God.
Yeah.
I really never understood that. When he shall come in his own glory and in his Father's and of the holy angels. Is it his Father's glory or is it his? You know? This guy's...
It's both.
Yeah, the reason it has to be both is because it just switches back and forth. And so they're like, it's fine, it's both. It's like, yeah, just like the Muslims. It's the religion of peace, the religion of war. It's like, yeah, we're the religion of
discontent, was it?
Yeah, what does he want? My glory, the Father's glory. Is it Jesus or is it God? They're both, they're the same. Gotcha. Blah, 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 but I tell you there be some standing here, but I tell you of a truth. Luke 9:27. But I, Jesus, tell you, audience, of a truth, that there be some standing here. There be some standing here. There be humans here standing.
Mm-hmm.
There be some adult humans here amongst us, standing here amongst with us here now, tonight.
Right? Yep.
Some standing here which shall not taste death. They are all dead.
Mm-hmm.
They shall not taste death till they see the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God. See the kingdom of God. So, That's not true. And it came to pass, here's another lie, just right here, I just noticed. It came to pass about 8 days after these sayings. About 8 days? About 8 days? Jesus, about a week? About a month?
Yeah.
About 8 days?
About a specific amount.
Jeez. About 9.5 days after he said this, he took Peter, John, and James. James never says anything, by the way. James is John's mute brother. John's the only one who speaks. James and John are never apart. Well, that's not true, they are apart. James sometimes disappears. Peter, John, and James and went up into a mountain to pray. There's no mountains in the area. And as he prayed, the fashion of his countenance was altered, and his raiment was white and glistening, like a vampire. And behold, there talked with him 2 men, which were Moses and Elias. Moses is mythological.
Oh, interesting.
So,
4 people got to see angels, they're saying right there.
I don't know. It depends how you count people. So, Peter might be a person. John might be a person. James definitely not a person. He's just an imaginary twin for John. Jesus obviously not a person. Elias is not a person. Moses not a person. So there's only 2 possible people there. Peter and John. John's not real. John's the one that got to not die. You know, if you some people say, well, it's true because John's not dead. Okay? And all you have to do is give me John. All you have to do is produce John. That's all you have to do. And then I'll worship your God. Because that's producible.
Yeah.
Just a guy that says, yeah, it's me, I'm John. I was there. They're like, oh, wow. Well, all you have to do, John, is tell us your first-hand experience.
Yeah.
That's all it takes, John. This Bible's totally worthless, John. Sitting down and being like, why don't you trust the Bible? That doesn't make any fucking sense, John. You know what I would trust? A 2,000-year-old man that was there. John. Right?
Yeah.
Right, so he's not a real person. Because he lived forever. And, yeah. And so then what we have left is Peter. Peter's not real either. Peter was invented by Paul. So that there's someone back that Peter can go back to. And he's like, well, I'll go talk to Peter and get his word on it. I bet he'll agree with me. And then he did. Because it was about this dick cutting thing. Right? Paul's whole problem, huge problem, most of the time, was everyone knew the Jews cut the tip of their dick off. And so he kept going around trying to preach this new Judaism to non-Jews, Paul, and fuck their daughters or sons.
Right. Where?
And the first thing he said was, well, here's how the conversation goes. Hi, I'm Paul! And they're like, what do you want, Paul? And he's like, I've got a new religion for you. And they're like, Judaism is not new, Paul. And he's like, no, it's new Judaism. And they're like, well, we don't want to cut our tips of our dicks off, Paul. Like, it went right there. Right after he called it New Judaism or whatever. Right? It's like, but no, you don't understand. The Messiah came. It's the second half of Judaism, right? He's trying to fucking move it on, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Take these old things and be like, no, but it's like a new thing. Just like Joe. Just like Joe Smith being all like, no, it's not like that old Christianity. We've got original Christianity, good Christianity that answers all those questions that you happen to have right now today. Restored gospel, yeah. And what's hilarious is the fucking prophet right now, the 17th prophet, gives thanks to God that God continues to restore the gospel. So let's just be clear that Joseph Smith did not complete it, and Brigham Young did not complete it. At no time did Brigham Young ever live in a world where the gospel had been restored, because the 17th prophet is still working on it. So none of the first 16 were able to deliver a restored gospel. They were all just restoring it. And the person who restored it to the not closest is the Joseph Smith guy. When he restored it, it was the most different from the way it is now. So the way that he restored it was the most incorrect of all of the 17 prophets that have been in the restoration.
What a view.
Yeah. What were you talking about before that?
How Jesus lied.
How Jesus lied? It was sort of after that.
We're going through the list.
Just
and
the
then-
list of bullshit.
Oh, Paul.
Oh, yeah. Paul cutting dicks off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul's just like, Joe
He
Smith.
changed it, and he was like, "Don't worry about that."
And they're like, well, you're nobody, though. You're just some stupid fucking Paul I met on the road. And he's like, well, yeah, but back in Jerusalem, there's this guy named Peter. And he hung out with Jesus. And Jesus was God. So I'll go talk to Peter, and you stay here in Turkey and do your Turkey stuff. Jesus. Fucking hitting everything. I'm brushing my hair and hitting everything.
I know.
One of the languages of love is brushing hair. If you're a primate, it's a thing we have where I just need someone to look at the back of my head to see if there's any tiny little bugs on there and to grab them and eat them. And, as a lone primate out in the fields, out here in the fields, where we have to fight for our meals, it's very difficult to find someone you can trust with the back of your head. And so, when you do, you're like, wow, that's cool.
That's the language of
That's
love.
one of the languages of love. That might be physical touch, Holding hands, hugging and kissing. All expressions of love. And so do it to yourself, Right? It's hard to do these
true.
5 languages of love to yourself. So I bet you don't do any of these things to yourself. When you think about it. So that's why you don't love yourself. You're narcissistic. You need to start loving yourself and stop being such a narcissist.
Yep.
That's a contradiction. It's a contradiction. Narcissists love themselves. It's a joke.
But they don't, in a weird sort of way.
In a weird way.
Yeah, they still shame themselves.
Yeah, right. It still is based on this sort of self-loathing.
Self-loathing.
Yeah.
No one will love me. I don't deserve it.
Right. And the God
I'm
of the Bible
embarrassed,
is,
and
yeah.
from my reactions,
Right.
I'm pushing you guys away.
Yeah.
Because I prove it that I'm not lovable.
Unlovable.
It's weird, but they also think they're the only brain to exist. Right? They're just the center of everything.
I'm not sure if they're really solipsistic. I don't know. I don't think so. Because I think when you're like, what if I'm the only mind around and this is all my illusion? It's like, it's not though, because look at all these other people, right? It's like, it doesn't hold much water. That paradigm, that sort of worldview tests negative pretty well, right? Any test that we have of like, does that person seem to be as person-y as me? The answer is yeah, right? The deeper you look, and it's like, so what can I accomplish being the center of the universe? What can I do in a day? And it's like, well, I can shit. I gotta shit every day. That's kind of a stupid thing to be in the center of the universe. And so you got all these things, and then you're only able to accomplish like this much. And then you go look at other people, and you're like, they're doing this much.
Yep.
So, it just seems like I am what they are, right? They are what I am. I don't see a difference. I can't. When I'm testing the idea, the universe of, is this a universe where I am the person and everything else is not? It doesn't seem like that. It doesn't test very well, right? Not a lot of the tests come back as like, yeah, these people are just fake, right? It's like, oh, this seems fucking real to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
And I guess they're just so busy. It seems like they can't understand other people because they don't believe that they're there. But I guess it's just because they're not empathetic at all.
Yeah,
These narcissists.
Yeah.
So is it just they're so busy?
Well, some of them have had their empathy circumcised, is the point. Because religion, gives you a reason to not care about that person over there because they're the wrong religion, because they rejected the message of truth, So every Mormon doesn't think of Mormons think of two kinds of people. There are two kinds of people.
Yeah, definitely.
There are Mormons,
Mm-hmm.
and they're heaven-bound,
Mm-hmm.
and there are non-Mormons,
Mm-hmm.
and they call them non-Mormons, which is funny because they're not Mormon anymore. So they gotta call them non-members, eh? I guess we've been doing that for a while. I've been trying to say non-members for a long time. So there's the members and the non-members. And, you don't have to empathize with non-members. You know why they're miserable.
That's
you don't
true.
have to search for
Yeah.
truth. You know the answer. I'm getting zero empathy from any of my family. They know what I'm doing wrong. I love to sin. You know, they know the story. The story's been told to them over and over. It's told to them from the pulpit. I'm a bad person. I was pretending to be a good person. They just throw me away. None of them are empathizing with me about what it's like to get shunned by your family. None of them were empathizing with my sister Julie when they kicked her out.
Right.
She was kicked out very young for being sort of a smoker, you know, a drinker,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone knows what's wrong with her. You know, she has problems in her life, and no one helps her with the problems because they know what's wrong with her.
Yeah.
They know exactly what she's doing wrong. She's not Mormon. If she would go to the temple, all of these problems in her life would disappear. And at the same time, that's the same mind that can think, for me, if I'm happy, that's because the devil's not fighting me anymore, since I'm following the devil, right? They're unhappy because the devil's fighting them because they're members. You see?
Yeah.
So the devil is putting things in their lives because they're so righteous, and that same mind can think that my unrighteous sister is unhappy because she's not Mormon.
Yep.
So they're thinking exactly the same thought, or opposite thoughts, that Mormonism is making me unhappy because it's promised to make me unhappy because the devil's fighting me, and not being Mormon is making my sister unhappy because it's promised. And so that's the thing. Mormonism just makes both promises, and you apply it to different things.
Yeah.
And you know, you get a book as thick as this fucking Bible, it's going to promise opposite things a lot. So, yeah. I mean, even in the book of Psalms, like, I think even in the Psalms there's a for every... Like, that's the point, is for everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. It's like, wow, that really allows you to do everything then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A time for peace, a time for war, they literally say in that thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, so, cool. A time for peace and a time for war. So you can say peace all you want, and any day you could be at my house with a weapon screaming, and a time for war! Oh, I forgot to tell you this! Religion of peace has come to murder you! And a time for war! You should have read the Psalms! Because, you know, Jesus says sell your coat and buy a sword. I really had never, ever, ever read that. Never really, really heard it until I was 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hide the scriptures they don't want to talk about.
That's right. And there are other scriptures in there that are hidden, and that you can discover and be like, oh shit, look at all this violence that laid here latently, waiting for some schmuck to call himself a prophet and say, I know why our parents never really understood Christianity, because they forgot this one verse. That's what's going on in the Westboro Baptist Church. That man, and I don't remember his name, but at any point, he was like, oh, I got it. We're being too nice to the gays. And God hates gays. At any point, that can happen again. Because it's sitting right there in Leviticus and fucking Romans. God hates the gays.
Yeah.
He's got fire ready for them.
Yes.
Because their butt sex makes him really, really queasy in his stomach. He only likes to watch lesbians, not homos. Come on. So, yeah. I'm going to take a little break here and listen to this song right here. You can listen with us. Alright, gentlemen and ladies, that was Roix Up from the great frozen north of Europa. We've been going through the list here, a list of the lies of Christ. The list is exhausting. My list here is not exhaustive. It's on every page. The point is, you can't go up to a believing Christian and say, the first lie you identify can't be, when he said he'd seen God, he was lying. That can't be the first one. Although, it should be.
Yeah.
Because when he said he was the way, the truth, and the life, John 3:16 is not true, it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man come to the Father but by me. It's not true. He's getting to Flying Spaghetti Monster on a certain path. No one else can use that path. No one else is in the place he began, and no one else needs to go in exactly that direction and for that distance, over those hurdles, to get to the Creator.
Yeah.
His way is singular. Don't use it.
All of our ways are singular.
Yeah, right. Find your way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it might have a lot in common with him, but it's not going to be the same one. It cannot be the same one. So stupid. On the other page here, if you have a copy of my scriptures there, the book of scripture I wrote, volume 36, 7, I have to look. I've written some things, and I'm going to go over some of them on this page, 172. General Trade Chat Orgrimmar, where is Ragefire Chasm? That's written right there, in blue, right in the middle of the page.
That's fun.
I don't know if you guys played World of Warcraft, but let me just tell you the game that I'm going to make right here. I'm developing this with my software development group, Safe Words Software Development Group. No, I don't think so. Probably Footsies. I don't know. We're going to have to call it something. Funny Farm.
Ramshackle. Who knows? Yeah.
It's TBD. We're working on this game where it's like an idle game. It's like an idle game where you are a guild in World of Warcraft vanilla, right? You know, and you're like grinding out all these quests and these weeklies and dailies and things. Like, you go all the way up to like trying to get them legendaries and gearing up your shit. And it's just one of these. But instead of like, but it's kind of like these idle games, you know, but a little bit less than that. It's not full idle game of like, here's 10 buttons, push them while they light up, kid. You know, it makes me feel really preschool, eh?
Yeah.
Push these buttons! They're gonna light up! You know, it's more like, alright, what are they gonna do? What are you guys gonna do? Send them on their quests. Oh, look, they came back. They didn't do it. So, yeah. Grinding them out. So I'm working on that. But,
being in control of the whole guild and...
right, from a guild's point of view, yeah.
Yeah, that's really fun.
It is really fun.
The drama it comes up with, like, right? Because, you know, I deserve this piece of armor. No,
yeah, that's going to be the hardest part to do, you know, but it really was very, very integral of being a guild leader was you were not giving the gear to the right people, thought everybody in the world. Will you do that?
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it was a good time. I was addicted to World of Warcraft for a long time,
Yeah.
Until mid-Cataclysm. I sort of had a couple spots in it where I got out for maybe as much as 6 months. When Burning Crusade launched, I was like, not interested.
Yeah.
No, not launch. When it launched, I thought it was great. When it launched, it was great. And then I got bored with it, and I came back before Lich King started, and but not back in enough time to get some of those titles that I really should have gotten. So, you know, I never saw a lot of the raid stuff from Burning Crusade, and then you never go back to it because it's out of the way.
Yeah.
So Burning Crusade raiding
And
is
finding more than one person interested in going back is difficult.
Yeah, right, absolutely. So, but as a paladin, I was able to do all of the vanilla stuff, pretty much. About half of the vanilla stuff. When I was a paladin in Cataclysm, I ground out by myself. No, wait. That's fine. I ground out by myself. Here's just a little story of my addictions. I ground out by myself in Cataclysm. Maybe Lich King. The Ragnaros. The epic drop from Ragnaros. What did he drop? The fire one. I had them both. I had Thunder Fury. I did all of those quests. I had Thunder Fury. And I had the fire one. The hammer.
Hammer.
Yeah, what was that one? I don't recall it. I was surprised at how small it is in your hand. That one. It's so small. But I've got Thunder Fury and it's just shooting thunder everywhere. And it's a sword. So I have it. I'm sure I have them both. Mm-hmm. On Charlie, my paladin,
yeah,
my blood elf
you
paladin.
showing them to people.
Here's Mato Fritz. Loading still. Oh, is it loading? What does that mean? Is it working? Warning, it says. Please check the video resolution. Oh. Maybe I should reset it. Refresh it. We're talking about World of Warcraft, reminiscing about that addiction. Mm-hmm. Because there's something written about it on page 172 here.
In your scriptures.
In this book of scripture. And so there's this idea that I learned from World of Warcraft. Taught me a lot of things. One of them is this sort of behavior, this human behavior, and it's this thing that we do where if someone asks us a question that we've heard a million times, we don't help them.
Yeah,
right?
we're bored of it.
We're just like, ugh. So if someone comes in and says,
research.
"Where is Mankirk's wife?" Oh, where is Mankirk's wife? And you're just like, oh my god, do you know how many times we've said where fucking Mankirk's wife is?
It might be your first day, but it's our 100th
yeah,
time
oh
hearing this
god.
question.
Yeah, you might really be wondering, haven't you ever heard of Thoughtbot? Go check out Wowhead. So fucked up. No one would say that anymore, and so they just ignore it. But I found this loophole to that where you could really get real information out of those people. Because they were not going to do it. Mm-hmm. But they would do it if someone else gave you bad information. Mm-hmm. So they would do it if they were making fun of the person who answered you. So I then got people to just... Because I was playing with friends, and I was like, okay, I'm going to ask this, and then you just say this. Or you ask this, what I'd say. I'd say, you ask this. And then I'd give them shitty information. So they'd be like...
The same chat. Like,
yeah.
Not...
Right.
Yeah.
So in general, it would be like... I'd say... Because, for example...
Joe would
where is
say,
Mankirk's wife?
Uh-huh.
I'd say to my friend Joe, ask it. Ask
Okay.
it in general. And then she'd
I
type,
type it
where
out.
is Mankirk's wife? Mm-hmm. And then I would say, in the Northern Barrens, check near the... lake. The Northwest Lake. Right? Some bullshit lie.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if you were to do something like that, 3 people
At least.
would jump in and be like, no! You stupid motherfucker! You fucking moron! That's not where Mankirk's wife is. Mankirk's wife is at 73 minus 94, just south of the crossroads, southeast of the crossroads. That's my telephone telling us. So, you know, you could elicit the real information from these people.
Yeah.
So these people had the information, and a question isn't going to elicit an answer, which is weird, right? But a misanswered question almost always elicits
Multiple
corrections, calling people idiots, that's very motivating. People love to do that. Helping people further their quest, nobody gives a shit about doing that.
No, you're just one of the millions who already asked that question.
So, yeah, you know, I don't know if you can
Put
use that in your life.
Yeah, how would you translate that?
I don't know. I don't care. Well, you know, that's what I'm doing with Pastafarianism. That's the whole point, that's what I'm doing with Pastafarianism. Is the Catholics out there screaming in the streets, saying, God will save you, and nobody's listening to him.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
And nobody cares about the 30 children there being brainwashed either.
Right. But, you know, there's a conversation happening, and one of the people there is a fucking moron. I'm going to get involved in this conversation. That's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to be the third person involved in a conversation than the second. And so that's what I'm inviting you Pastafarians to do, is not be the second part of this conversation. Be the third part. You know? Say, well, my priest, schizophrenic Mitch, says this. And he says that about this other guy. You say, Jesus says this, but my priest says this. Make two parties fighting about it. Remove yourself from the fight. Jesus, the Catholic priest is saying this. The fucking my priest, the Pastafarian priest, is saying this. And they're both wrong. This guy's wrong in this way. The preacher, the Catholic, is wrong in this way. And the Pastafarian is just too mean, or whatever. Like, it really is.
It's just wrong in this way.
Yeah. It's fine, and it can be just as much, because the point is you're not challenging the person you're telling that story to. There's four people in this: the Catholic, the Pastafarian, you, and your interlocutor, whomever you're talking to about these things. Remove yourself from it. Right? If you're not attacking that person, they're not defending against you, right? And you can fucking throw me under the bus, you know? I'm just your priest, you know? I'm just the prophet that you are listening to right now, for now.
Yeah.
Right? And you disagree in this way and this way. You are critically thinking about your prophet, like we all really, really should critically examine those we choose to follow. We really need to critically think about our prophets. If you stop critically thinking about Jesus, you're fucked. If you stop critically thinking about Joseph Smith, you're fully occulted. You know, L. Ron Hubbard, if you're like, well, yeah, they say those things about him, and it's like, no, they don't. That's true shit. Fucking, he was fucking weird. And, yeah, I don't know. Do you guys want to digress, or do you want to listen to more music? I'm going to listen to more music.
I had to write that down.
Oh, she wrote it down.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to this because we've been talking about this.
If you ever get close to a human and human behavior, be ready to get confused. And me and my head after, there's definitely There's definitely a magic.
That was Björk. Björk. I heard her once in an interview, asked about her name. Pardon me. Pardon me. How embarrassing. She was asked about her name, and she said it rhymes with jerk. So, her name is Björk.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Björk.
Yeah.
If you see her, you know, what I'm saying is, if you see her, say, oh my god, Björk, I fucking love your albums and your dresses.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking to someone about them, her, say, you know Björk, have you heard her songs? So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying tell all your friends, do you know her name's not Björk, and so I don't say Björk, I only say Björk. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying tell all your friends that. I'm saying when you meet her, don't call her Björk. Because that's what you call her in your stupid language. When you're hanging out with her, though, say, oh my god, I'm hanging out with Björk right now. And it's like, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. When you get there,
It's cute.
yeah.
It's cute.
You can call it Disneyland, all your friends, but when you get there, you gotta be Walt Disneyland, right? Anyway, I'm just telling future self for when I meet her, when I'm hanging out at that awards ceremony
Yes.
or the Met Gala. I don't know why I keep not finding my invitation to the Met Gala. That sucks. I want to go to that. That sounds cool. How do you get invited to that? Like, I'm sure I'm Metty enough. How do you be more Met than this?
Maybe you need to prove you already have some fancy pirate clothing. I don't know.
I don't know. No. Because no.
It's not invited by your.
What you already have. Because the point is, you've got to come up with something new
True.
for this year's
But
one.
isn't what you already are wearing proof of you are invited to this place?
Dude, have you seen what I'm wearing? All I'm saying is,
I have seen.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. I should get invited. I should go. I want to hang out with Björk at the Met Gala.
Gala.
I would gala all over that place.
Yeah.
Galop.
Picture it.
Oh shit! Now we got to talk about something. Is there anything to talk about? Monday. Yesterday was Mother's Day. We can talk about my mother. I sent my mother a card this Mother's Day that said, "You learned conditional love from the God of Abraham." That's the card I sent to my mother, because you know. So the question is, so right now I'm in a situation where my mother was. Let me tell you the story about my mother, because Matt Dillahunty. I don't know if you heard Matt Dillahunty's rant about his mother, but fuck, dude, it's rough. Also, I invite you to go. See so and so's mother on David Letterman. Remember? Who is that?
Yeah.
What's
yeah,
that guy's name? Remember that guy that died?
I do.
Fuck. Oh, his name slips my mind. Smoked a cigarette on stage.
Yeah, very
Very dry. Not Kinnison, right?
No.
Not like screaming on stage.
And not
but
Mitch Hedberg.
not Hedberg, who is amazing. But up there being like, yeah, you think your government's telling you the truth? No one's telling you the truth. That
Yes.
guy. Who's
Yeah,
Bill
you
Hicks.
picture him.
Yeah, as soon as I did it. Bill Hicks. Bill Hicks. So I invite you to see Bill Hicks's mother.
Yes.
Okay?
And who interviewed her?
David Letterman. I invite you to go watch that. After Bill Hicks died, David Letterman apologized for censoring his performance on his show after he was gone. And he died of cancer, I believe.
I think so.
And he knew he was dying on the show. So Bill Hicks and Andy Kaufman are very, very similar people.
Yes.
And
National Lampoon, even.
Yeah. What was that guy? Although he died of drugs on a cliff, right?
Yes.
Doug Kinney.
Doug.
Doug Kinney. And so, yeah, they're very similar, except Doug Kinney did not do stand-up. And the other two did, is that right? Yeah. So, I can't even think of... I can't have all three of these names in my head at one time.
Dry anger, right?
Yeah.
And flip it out onto...
Well, I mean, but it comes from a place of narcissistic parents.
Yes.
A narcissistic mother. So my mother is narcissistic. She's a narcissist.
Yeah.
She may have, and I don't know, it's like a spectrum, okay? I don't know how it works.
Right.
I don't know when you're over the line, but Matt Dillahunty mother's a narc, fucking Bill Hicks'
And over
mother's
the
a
line,
narc.
narc.
Yeah, over the line. And so,
Bill Hicks' mom.
yeah, you know.
Yeah, and Skitz's mom, Joe's mom.
Joe's mom, yeah, right. And so and I'm not sure if they were taught it by their religion, right? If they were not born this way and they were indoctrinated to be this way.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying on my letter, my fucking Mother's Day card to my actual mommy, is fucking, I know you learn this behavior from the God of Abraham.
Or at least I know you're copying your God's behavior.
Yeah, right. And so there's a couple ideas that you think about when you're afflicted with this thing, and it's, you know, so the symbiosis between your narcissistic God and your narcissistic mother is undeniable, and so they seem to, you know, they teamed up, right? Because it's the shadow. The God is the shadow of your narcissistic parent, right? Your shadow blown up into infinity. Their shadow, right?
Yeah.
And so you need to get... And so religion is with mirrors, right? Religion is done with smoke and mirrors and light. And so if your target of that thing you're projecting up into the sky is your narcissistic parent, right? Your God's narcissistic.
Yep.
And if the target of your child's love is this narcissistic Bible God, that's great because you can fit right in there as a narcissistic person, right? So it's like they use each other, right? Yeah. And what you need to do is understand that it's all a mirror, and you need to project yourself up there because you first of all, you can understand yourself better than you can understand anybody else. You're better at your understanding will be better, and secondly, there's no other option. Right? You can't really project somebody else up there. You're projecting your understanding of them. There's no one else to project up there. Everyone else is actually a reflection of you because the parts of your parents you can see are parts of yourself that you can understand.
Yep.
And so stop projecting someone else up into the sky as God. If you have to project anything at all, project yourself. Come to terms with reality. Get out of this narcissistic sort of thing. But anyway, so I'm going to tell some stories about my mum right now because, we got time. Yesterday's Mum's Day.
Holidays.
What's his name? Did it a couple weeks ago. Talked about how
Matt
pissed Matt Dillahunty talked about how pissed he was with his parents. I invite you to go listen to that. He tells the story and he tells you some details and he says, here's what they did, here's what I did.
Every time you hear someone else's story about their parents, you just be like, shit. This is a truth in my life too. This is a fact of my experience with my parents. Or
I'll talk about someone else's mom real quick. I have this friend in Mormonism, an acquaintance in Mormonism. She's a gay woman. She's about my age, and we were in the same stake and I think ward back in the day, back in the 90s. Yeah. And so I've been following her on Facebook. And she came out as lesbian many years ago, and attempted to reconcile that with her faith. And I was fully out while she was still a believer. Yeah. And I attempted to talk with her, and it was very difficult because she still was full believer, and I was like, okay. And I had no idea what to say to my lesbian believing Mormon friend. Like, I had no tools to give her to help her, and then but we had a conversation, and in that conversation she told me that her mother had literally actually said to her, You know, this would all be a lot easier if you had committed suicide. Like, her mother confessed to her face.
Out loud.
Yeah. I really would like your story to end with your death soon, so that I just don't have to deal with the continued you.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother, her actual mom.
Yeah.
And so, you know, whether or not that behavior is a learned behavior that you are receiving from the Mormon Church made her into that, or she was born like this and tried to find a place to hide where it's not her fault, where she can give it away, and she gets to continue to be fully narcissistic whilst giving away responsibility for that, or a combination of both, or a third option that doesn't occur to me because I'm limited in my understanding of reality. Whatever the case, disgusting, right? Gross. Like, you failed.
So very sad.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever good you've done, you totally destroyed it when you told your kid you wish they were dead.
You wish they'd end their own lives.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with the pain of
Like-
them being gay.
Like there's a trope on the internet right now, and it's hard to tell my kid to stop doing it to his friends, but they all say it to each other. They're all like, kill yourself, right? They all say it to each other. And it's going to be like the same thing with me and faggot when I was a kid, right? We called everybody faggot. And I bet there were some people who were like, you know, you really should stop that. You know?
Right.
So,
and then it became a general, no, you shouldn't say that.
right. And so maybe, this is that.
Go
And
kill
I mean,
yourself
that's
is
why
gonna
it's a
become
thing.
that,
Right.
yeah.
And so, you know, I don't participate in it, but I'm not 10 years old right now.
Right.
You know? And so, but to actually say, because it's a trope, and it's funny, and, you know, whatever, it's stupid, and it's like, kill yourself, and it doesn't mean anything, but, like, a fucking mother saying it to her gay daughter,
35-year-old
yeah,
daughter.
it's disgusting. It's, like, obscene. Like, you're a bad mother. And hopefully, your church made you this way, and you can unmake you this way. Hopefully. But, you know, I'm not sure where that hope comes from. Whether that's just a religious decision on my part, or whether the fucking, data suggests that these people can come out of it. So let me tell you a story of my mum. I've got some, she went on a mission for the Mormon Church. She and my father got divorced while I was still believing. And it went really bad. It was really embarrassing and bad. Mostly her. He just sort of cut it off and sort of went no communication, and she lost her shit.
Yeah, on everybody.
Yeah.
On all of her children.
He moved on in a sort of midlife crisis-y sort of way, married a younger woman, lived with her for a while, stopped wearing his garments. So, you know, she's winning on this story of, like, faithful Mormon, right? So she's wielding the Mormon Church as her, like,
I'm the better one.
I'm the good one, he's the bad one, he's apostate, I divorced him because he's apostate. When it turned out, no, she's an insane person who's narcissistic and doesn't want to get along with people.
And had hoped that he had killed himself.
Yeah. Oh, so his father, a little deep detail here, there's more details.
Just connecting it from the previous
My
story.
grandfather, Webb, he fucking died at age 69, and here's the story of his death, as far as the mythology came to me as a young person. Once upon a time, grandfather, Webb, after the kids were out of the house, and he was always a drunkard, but one time he touched her. He was physically abusive with her. And so the sons got together, his 3 sons got together and said, well, we're doing what's best for Mom. And so they got Mom out of that house, that abusive house with that alcoholic guy. And then he shot himself in the head in the bathtub, and his youngest son found his body. And, you know, they did with at the age of 69, he did this, after missing no days of work for his alcoholism, ever. After toiling in the Arizona sun for 40 years for this Mormon god. So, in my mother's story, my father sort of goes out the same way. At age 69, they start to get very physical with each other. They start to get very emotionally
Dramatic.
dramatic.
She's throwing herself on the ground and
Yeah.
wailing in front of him.
And so my dad comes to me one day and says, "I've put my hands upon your mother." And I said, "Well, that's weird, isn't it?" And then a couple months later, it happened again. And he said, "You know, I did it again. I put my hands on your mother, on her shoulders. And I haven't done that in a while." And I said, "Well, you know, you don't have to go back." And he said, "Well, I guess that's true." And then he never did. And she took it really, really poorly. And used the Mormon church against him. Because she couldn't get him to kill himself at 69, like his father did, because that was the promise. And so now she's got to deal with the rest of her life. She's got to make up her new story, divorced, right? She's got to, instead of the story ending with her expectation, which is, by the way, let's digress about expectation. I don't know if we have before. Expectation's your own fucking fault.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. Stop pretending you're good at it. All you have to do is stop pretending you're good at it.
Yeah.
Eh? You just have to confess to yourself you're bad at it.
Yeah.
All of your expectations are bad. And there's
humans
evidence.
Can't help but make expectations because I want to know what's going to happen.
Right. But look at the evidence.
Also confess I'm terrible.
I'm terrible
at
at
it.
it.
I always will be.
I'll never get out of this problem.
Yeah.
I've always been bad at it.
So-
Look at the evidence. Go back at all the expectations
Now
you've
let's
been
go
wrong
be
about.
in the moment and see.
I'm better at that. I'm better at doing that than fucking making a true expectation.
Yeah.
If you write a line for someone in your mind, and then you write so there's 3 lines: my line, your line, my line, right? And then I come up to you and I deliver my line.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what I'm up to today? And I think to myself, I expect you to say what? And you don't say what?
Uh-huh.
See? You're free to say anything, aren't
Yeah.
you? And so if you don't say what,
I say instead, you went to a water park.
right, fucking, I'm all of a sudden off my script. And so I will attempt to get her back into my script when I oughtn't. I should listen to that shit you just said in this real life conversation. I should recognize my expectation was fucking false. I should be good at fucking adapting to reality. And I should improvise the next line. The whole script goes in the bin. I listen to the thing that you just said, which was water park. And I say, that would be nice. And now we're in a conversation. Look at that, we're in a conversation. Instead of I'm trying to push this script into fucking people's faces and get them to deliver my lines out of their mouths.
Yeah.
And their mouths are not my mouths. You're not allowed to put your lines in other people's mouths. So, you know, fuck your expectation. It's your fault. It's your fault. Stop it. What were we just talking about? Was that a good one? We were talking about one when we were listening to music where you build a thing in your head and it fucks you. And you did it all in your head.
Oh, that's
it's
right.
a definition. It's a bad definition. You make a definition about something.
Yes.
And you say, these are the healthy ways of doing
It's
this.
coming back. Yep. Keep
Yeah,
talking.
it's got something. And so...
It was like
let's talk about your sexual... Let's do it in the framework of sort of your sexual expression. Humans are sexual creatures.
healthy relationships. I will only have healthy relationships was the expectation. Or I only see healthy connections. ways
So let's
to-
talk about it.
Okay.
I will
Okay.
only have healthy sexual outlets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's a definition you have for yourself. You've done that yourself.
Yep.
Okay. Another thing you've done is you've called the definition of healthy sexual outlets. Perhaps you've defined it as one man, one woman in the bonds of matrimony for procreation. And those are the only healthy outlets. And some people believe that, I'm not saying all people believe that. I'm not saying this is the normal Christian view. I'm saying you can find some Christians who believe this.
Yeah.
And so they've done that themselves. In their mind, they've defined it that way. And then their expression, their sexual expression, expresses itself in some way. And that is defined as unhealthy. Like,
If it doesn't fit in.
right. Even if it is a healthy expression, which is, I masturbate at night. when everyone's asleep, I masturbate. And it's like, cool, that's a healthy sexual expression. And it's like, but it's not, because the definition was this. So it becomes unhealthy, right? Because there's shame now, right? And all of those pieces happen in your head. They're all self-made. Like, it feels like it's all external,
Yeah,
right?
the shame's coming from out.
Yeah, right. It feels like the definitions are coming from the outside, right? But it's not. You're agreeing with them in your head. You're doing them
Applying it to
yourself.
yourself, yeah.
Right. It's all inside your head. It's 4 pieces or 3 or whatever, and they don't look like they interact, and they definitely do. And so, and it starts with having a bad definition. Like, it's so simple as I didn't define healthy sexual expression well enough. Like, I'm just bad at defining that, and then I
trusted the definition I was given to by
right.
as
I
a
didn't
kid.
critically think about
I never
it,
critically re-examined it.
and that caused me to enter this shame spiral that took over a
Yeah.
whole decade of my life and caused me to become addicted to this substance. You know, and it's like, why? Because you accepted a religion's definition of some idea. It's something so small and innocuous, and you think that, and it's definitely under your control, right? It's
Right.
definitely a thing in your head. And the other thing is, and Therapeutries is really good about explaining this one. Another one is when you define yourself as good, you fuck yourself, right?
Yeah.
When you say, I only do good things, if you say, I never make mistakes, then you can't make mistakes. And every decision is a mistake. And so you're fucked, right?
In reality, every decision is
every
a
decision
mistake.
is choosing between
Yeah.
2 bad options.
Uh-huh.
With this, are you going to make this mistake or this mistake? And so if you can't make mistakes, you can't make that choice. And so you don't. And that's a worse mistake, not moving forward on this idea, right?
Yeah.
And because you can't. Your definition won't let you. Your self-definition.
Yep.
And it's yourself.
Prevents you from making any decisions because you can't make a mistake.
Right.
And so then it leads to other things like people, well, yeah.
Yeah. It explodes and it comes out the butt, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes
I
out.
can give specific examples, but everyone is unique in how it comes out.
Yeah. Also, and don't forget.
There came a night leaving fear behind, shadows around the ground. Oh, nobody knew where to find him. No evidence was found. I'm never coming back. They heard him cry, and I believe him. Well, he never meant to do anything wrong. It's gonna get worse if it waits too long. Billy, don't you lose my number? 'Cause you're not anywhere that I can find you. Oh, now, Billy, don't you lose my number? 'Cause you're not anywhere that I can find you. Oh, no. Searching through the day and to the night, they wouldn't stop till they found him. They didn't know him and they didn't understand. They never asked him why. Get out of my way! That made him shout. Then a blinding light. All I wanted to see was him running down the street, out of the shadows and into the night. Now, Billy, don't you lose my number?
So, we were talking about my mum,
Yeah.
just to catch you up. Ha 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 ha! That joke's not for you. That joke's not for you. Ha ha!
I
That's
hear
just for my.
very
That
rude
joke's just for my
and
girlfriend.
Very ice feeling.
Maybe,
Icy manner.
maybe, or maybe it's flirty to be like, you could be in here having special jokes to you. I don't know. It's very hard to. It really depends on. It really depends on the deliverer, I suppose. So. Yeah, it doesn't depend on intention, though intention means something when you're talking to the deliverer. When you're saying, when he's like, yeah, but I meant it to be flirty, and it's like, oh, so you're just bad at flirty? And it's like, right. And, you know, and that's fine. It's fun to be bad at flirty. That's okay, right? Don't get your feelings hurt when you're just bad at being flirty. Because a lot of people do, eh? A lot of people are like, I was trying to flirt and it didn't work, and now I'm going to shoot them all with guns, you know.
Or I'm never going to do it again and be a recluse.
I'm going to be a recluse. They've told me they hate me. And it's like, no, maybe you're just bad at flirting because you haven't done it much.
Yeah.
And so just do it more.
Yeah.
And fucking forgive yourself for not being perfect
Please.
a little bit.
Please.
How about instead of being perfect, you just be good at it?
Yeah.
So we talked about the 80%, eh? 80%, 8%
Well,
of the time. It's
yeah.
a good one.
It is.
Let's talk about my mum.
Yes.
Because I don't want to, because it's fucking, you know, it's
But it is
complaining and
Mother's
embarrassing.
Day.
It's Mother's Day. Alright, so here's what she was doing. She was sending letters to my house, like cards, right? Because one thing that sort of happens in Mormonism is real loving relationships become checklists. And so you'll often see grandmothers, Mormon grandmothers, and I'm sure this happens in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But they just have a checklist of dates, you know, and what they want to be is the grandmother that sends a card on the birthdays,
Yes.
right?
They have
And-
these built-up
Right,
expectations
and
to be the best grandma.
right, and then they're letting themselves down, and it's a really sad spiral. So they're gonna be what you said, with they're gonna be the perfect grandmothers, right? And they're gonna send a $20 bill every birthday, or they're gonna send $1 for every birthday that it is, right? 5 on the 5th, 6 on the 6th, yeah. And then all of a sudden their grandkids are 15 years old, and they're like, I don't have $15, and so then they start telling a sort of story to the kid about how, like, it's okay that it's not $15, and how, and then they start to buy gifts early, you know, where it's like, I saw this thing in the store and it reminded me of you, so I'm giving it to you right now, even though your birthday's in 2 months. Count it as your birthday thing, and it's so they can get a check on their checklist. And it's like, religions do this, and they had it with this family home evening thing in the Mormon church, where
If you're a good
each
mommy, if you can weekly get together with your kids and talk about religion.
right, and so put a check
Yeah.
on your calendar on Mondays, and if your visiting teachers come over every week or every month, they get a check, you know, and you go to church and you get a check, and you get them to Wednesday Mutual and you get a check, and it just becomes this calendar with checklists on it, eh? But it's not like a thing that you should use that tool for. A thing like hygiene or exercise, pharmacological health, taking your pills, right? Vacuuming your home. Things like that work very well with checklists. But your relationships with the people that you love don't.
Yeah.
If you
quickly taste like cardboard.
it becomes all that relationship can be. It becomes all you have time for. All your relationships become this. And Mormons are very, very guilty of this. Is that all their relationships are like check marks. And so, that was the only contact that my grandchildren had with their grandmother
for a couple
years. And each of these messages came with a religious message.
And guilt religious too. It was.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not. I'm going to make this as minor as possible, because the point is it doesn't matter. It just, there was religious in there. Okay, and so I became unreligious. Okay, during that time I became anti-religious during this time after the divorce, and after, in fact, my mom went on a mission to the Nauvoo area, back way like the old school Nauvoo shit, where all of the fucking really heavy shit went down, where the fucking anti-American destruction of the press happened, where the fucking hiding of the sex with 14-year-olds really fucking got into full swing, and you can like go look at the marriage dates and see what fucking Joseph Smith was doing on summer Saturday weekend nights. What was Joseph Smith doing in those hot Nauvoo fucking nights? He's fucking a new teenager every week. Go check his calendar. Go check it. And they weren't allowed to talk to each other about it. So go check that out if you want to see what was happening in the Nauvoo nights in fucking 44. Go check out what fucking that asshole was doing in the spring of... Who that asshole was doing in the spring of 44. Anyway.
So that's where your mom's.
That's where my mom goes on the mission.
And so
before this, well, there's framework. There's lots of framework.
There is.
There's before this, she's we have democratized the ramshackle, eh? So my wife and I and the 5 kids, we've decided that we want to get out of this patriarchal system, and the way we're going to do it is vote for who is the head of the house, the captain of the ship, as it were. And we've been doing this for more years than I've been an unbeliever.
That's wow.
And so this idea of like seeing my children as friends instead of always belows, right? They're gonna catch up with me on this race pretty fucking soon. We'll be running next to each other very soon. So compatriots instead of something. What is it?
Pyramid.
No, something that you're gonna get in trouble for. A liability. A friend instead of a liability. Right.
Oh yeah. That's true. That's so fucked up.
Right. Okay. Hold on. I'm going somewhere. So my mom goes on the mission, and I sort of bring this idea to her. I say, all right, I'm turning 30 whatever very soon. You're going on this mission, and I think that when you come back from this mission, you'll find that our relationship has changed. I think you'll be able to see me more as a person than a child, and so I started sending these messages to her about this idea of like, let's talk like we're people, and that quickly devolved. Because she was not receptive to any of this idea of like me as a person. Yeah. And I have published this. If you go back into some of my published works, you can find this, all of this. I sort of took some of the names out and cleaned it up a little bit. Maybe I should do it a bit more, but I published it somewhere. And all of these real texts back and forth, and it just really was heartbreaking. That it turns out that she just sees me as, like I said, her liability. That, and the same with my sister, is that she told her one day that she knew, and it's not as bad as telling her to her face, I wish you were dead. But she did tell her that she understands. She says it like, I'm sorry I wasn't a better mother for you. Because you wouldn't have the problems you have now. And so she's identifying, my mother is identifying that the lack of perfection, the when she looks at her children and she sees how less than perfect they are, she takes that distance and she counts that as her flaw. Yes. Her own flaw as a mother. She says, all I can see in you is my flaws. Yep. And she's saying that to all of her children, and that's a very narcissistic thing to say. The only thing I see when I look at you is how I've failed you. And why is she looking at it like that? Is because that is the measurement to which you will be kept out of heaven. You know, she really is pissed at me because I'm dragging her to hell with me. Yeah. Because I am hers and she is judged by me.
Yep.
And it's like, it says in your book that's not true. It says in your articles of faith that's not true. Like, they still believe it. Like, that's all they see. That's all she sees.
From the pulpits, it is said the opposite. It is said, grandmas go save your kids because they're your responsibility.
They're specifically sent out to do this thing. Like, I said the other day that she approached me with, have you seen that movie, Meet the Mormons? Because her church mobilized her to even talk to her fucking faithless...
Right.
Yeah.
So just like everything that you find in religion, it is said both ways.
Right.
And heavily, these grandparents feel responsible for getting their grandkids into heaven.
Right. So they're taught to be this way. So hopefully, these narcissistic parents are taught this behavior by this disgusting church. And so when we don't let the churches be this disgusting, when we stop them from being this abusive, then hopefully there will be fewer of these sad narcissists around. Because they're not having a good time. Narcissists are unhappy. It is true that a narcissist is unhappy because that thing that they require for happiness will never... Just like you can't earn the love, right?
Right.
They'll never love themselves, right? They'll never earn their own love, right? Like
that's why they can't ever be happy.
Right. That's why they're fine splashing it everywhere, because hurt people. They don't even see it. They're hurting themselves because they can't love themselves, and maybe because their indoor voice, maybe it's because their voice in their mind is abusing themselves. Maybe they're calling themselves fat all the time and they mean it. Maybe they're calling themselves a sinner inside their own head. Evil, you demon.
Yeah.
Maybe they really are scared of these thoughts, because your mind is a random thought generator.
Yes.
It's its job. The more random your thoughts, the more you are capable of seeing patterns that are there. The more you are capable of thinking out of the box. The more random your thoughts are, the sooner you can get out of the box. Because you're like, well, what if there's ghosts? And you're like, oh, well, if there's ghosts, then this, and you get to follow it, right? But you can't get there until you have that random thought. Well, is there a ghost, right? And you're like, well, then we're not to meet with a sort of idea. And like, oh well, and you go around, and it's like, well, what if there's a tiny little like bug in the water that we can't see that's making us shit water instead of like solid shits like our animal shit? You know, what if that? You know, it's random, right? And so your mind is doing this to predict the future. It's the better it is at that, the better it is at predicting the future. Even though it's shit at it, it's never going to be good at it. It wants to really bad. And so, let it be bad at it. Let it work really hard. Let it be bad at it, and then don't demonize it. Don't condemn it for being bad.
Yeah.
And so these random thoughts help you predict the future. And so keep trying. But be bad. It's okay. Yeah. And it's fun too. And so but when these thoughts come into your head of like,
extreme one.
Like if you're driving down the road and you think to yourself, so what would happen though if I just hard righted it right now? Just really stupid hard right, threw it all away. What would happen? If that thought enters your head, it's not a demon.
Right.
And it's not you. Right. It's a random thought.
Right. It's not a symptom of your personality.
Right. It's a conversation starter, because you've got a fucking thing in there that just starts random conversations with yourself. It's just job. Yeah. And it just gives you shit all day long. Here's something, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, you can be like, that's stupid, and not think about it. You can be like, well, I won't have any fun tomorrow, and the people who love me will mourn me, and that's not a fun thing to be doing this next weekend. Or you can think, I'll finally be happy, the pain will be over, but I can't do it yet because of these people that I love. You can think whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
The thought can take you wherever it takes you. But don't, when it shows up, don't think to yourself,
shut it down.
The devil has put this in my head. Never, ever, ever think that. That's insane.
No.
Never think, oh shit, I'm evil at the core, I've got to talk to my therapist about this. But do talk to your therapist about it.
Yeah.
And,
Because
you know...
they'll be able to ask you the questions
Right,
that
it'd be
apparently
like-
you're blocking.
Right, be like, my priest says there's a random thought generator in my mind and I really shouldn't think too much about it, and see what your therapist says about it. Fucking tell me what other priest says, don't forget to bring me up to your therapist, right? Tell me what other priest says that.
Yeah.
If your therapist says what I'm saying is bullshit, fucking throw it the fuck out. You know, I don't know any other priest that will say that. So anyway, my mom has these fake relationships with my kids. She doesn't want to have real relationships.
Yeah.
She literally calls me and says, "Excuse me, will you tell me some funny stories about your kids?" And I'm like, "Well, you can call them and talk to them." And they're like, "Just tell me the stories."
I don't want to talk to him.
Because she wants to just tell these stories. Because what she does is she goes to meetings with people her age every week, and those people keep telling stories about their grandkids. And she's like, "Excuse me, schizophrenic age, you're not delivering on what I had you for, which is so that I have good stories in these meetings." And it's like, bitch, you don't want to hear my stories. Because I got pictures about my kids. I got fucking stories about my kids swearing. I've got stories about fucking grapes coming out of their asses. I've got middle fingers,
confusion.
double fucking middle fingers. I've got
These
good
aren't
stories.
stories
I've
that-
got stories about how my kid, when he found out that Santa Claus was fake, or that what was it? What was he really pissed about?
Trolls.
Trolls, yeah. So we would go on hikes.
And he still, to this day, says there is something out there.
We would
that
go
is-
on hikes, and there were these trees that were like bent, and I'd be like, trolls done that.
They sat there.
Yeah, and then later when Santa Claus was sort of falling apart, and I was like, yeah, there's no Santa,
And
no
he's like,
Tooth Fairy,
mhm.
no Jesus,
No Easter Bunny.
no Easter Bunny, no fairies, no unicorns, no trolls,
But
no
you
goblins.
didn't say that. Trolls. And
Oh yeah, he's like, wait, are there trolls?
But there's at least trolls, right?
Right, and I was like, oh shit, dude, sorry. And he was so pissed that he went to school. He was so fucking pissed about it that he went to school and he told people there wasn't any Santa.
No God.
No God and no Santa. No God. He said, there's no God. Because he was so pissed about trolls that he wanted to take something away from other people so they understood what it felt like. Well, he lost right there. And he's like, well, there's no God. So fuck you. There's no trolls. If I don't get trolls, you don't get God. God damn it. And I think he's right. I think he's correct. I think his feeling is correct. And so,
So your mom would send these cards.
these cards, because she doesn't...
She wanted stories and she wanted a
She's
checklist.
she's checking some boxes, and each time those cards come, there's a message about
Somehow,
some spiritual
God.
message.
Something about Jesus or
Fucking
God.
Valentine's Day, I'm getting these cards. Fucking
Oh my
Thanksgiving,
God.
I'm getting these cards.
Halloween,
It's
every
crazy.
imaginable holiday.
Right.
Sometimes 2 in a month because you
Right.
have a birthday.
And on all of these cards, getting these cards, and I've got to call her up and be like, dude, lady, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
You have to stop this.
Yeah. Text and phone calls. Stop.
You cannot be sending
cards.
religious messages to
Like,
my kids.
Literal words. Stop sending me cards.
And she's like, well, if my relationship with you cannot have a religious component to it, we cannot have a relationship. And I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. We don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's
And-
like, but I still get to talk to my grandkids. And we're like,
Right.
no.
And so
you don't have a relationship with me.
Right. If you don't have a relationship with me, you can't have a relationship with my kids. That's just insane. And then, my sister, one of my sisters, another of my sisters gets cancer, which my first sister very believes is because of our background of polygamy and incest, our Mormon polygamist incest background.
We're finding.
That's what we believe. Some people believe it. So another of my sisters is diagnosed in her 30s with cancer, breast cancer, and I'm invited into a text group with the siblings and parent and mother talking about this, because father's not invited anymore, the apostate he is. And we're starting to talk about the cancer, and then we are not talking about cancer, we're talking about the temple. We're talking about how happy it is that mom is in the temple praying for everybody.
And our nephews are now going to missions.
Missions will
for
save.
2-year
Yeah,
missions.
so we're not talking about cancer, we're talking about missions and temples. And so, so I lost my relationship with my mother because she'd rather have the perfect son that she sees when she looks at me than the reality. But that's what she sees in the mirror, is that she'd rather have the perfect person that she's supposed to be than herself, her actual self. And that's too bad. Because I think I would rather have her actual self. I would rather have a mother that confessed, oh fuck, I had way too many kids. Oh fuck, that was a mistake. I should not have raised you guys as Mormons.
I might be asexual or lesbian.
I am not a sexual person. I would love for her to confess that.
Oh,
I'm not as
fuck.
into it as some of these other people
I really
are.
like to gamble pennies. It's thrilling to me. I don't know why.
Also, I fucking hate some people.
Yeah,
There are
is
some
that
people on this
okay?
planet that
Can
I
I
fucking
hate
hate.
people?
Wouldn't that
Can I
be
hate
fun
some of my
to have that
kids?
conversation with your mummy, with your stupid ass narcissistic mom who can't think these thoughts? And so
She has it sideways at her.
She
She
talks
told
to me
us,
about
yeah.
the weather. She literally talks to me about the weather, and she talks to my kids
Why
about
are
Jesus.
your favorite people I hang out
And I'm
with
like, lady, you gotta
atheists?
go. You gotta go. You gotta get out. You can't be like this around my family. It's really abusive.
Yeah.
Because the point is these holidays were defined too much by, okay, so Dad's, here's the card, right? It's like, let's check the mailbox for the card that I've been
Every
saying
month or
for
every other
2
month on
years.
these holidays,
Do
right?
not send these cards anymore. Check the mailbox and see if there's another one. That's what these holidays were becoming. And it's like, okay, lady, you're out. And since then, we've been able to have real holidays. It's
Yeah.
really nice to have holidays in the present, instead of holidays where you just worship nostalgia, you know? Holidays where you worship the idea, of
what it
spring
used
and
to be
winter
like,
and
and
family.
Your favorite old memories, like what the
Lost
fuck?
people, lost.
Why
and,
can't right now be your favorite memories?
and freedom and independence. Like, why? Let's worship into the future instead of worship into the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, why can't your hope be here on this planet? Why can't
It
your
is,
hope be in
though,
the future?
Very
Or-
nice to have these holidays without these drama people.
Without the costumes of yesteryear, without the stigma, without the expectations.
Yeah, the things can be new and different every holiday.
Right, and of course, I've invited my family to enjoy the new holidays with me. I invite them to celebrate solstice with me. I invite them to watch the total eclipse with me, which was beautiful. I saw it with wonderful people. I invite them to celebrate, the aging of my children and all these things, and the voting for captain and all of these fun things that I celebrate now and into the future. Now that I am free, I'm not a slave anymore. I don't want to carry the
They have a
slave.
prescript of the answers if they can't even empathize with us because it's no, they're sinners.
Because they know the story. The story's told.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they have an expectation, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much I'm not meeting it. They're just gonna lay it over me. They're gonna tell my story.
Overlay. Fuck.
Right, because, I'm literally here fucking screaming this shit out onto the internet to nobody. And, my siblings are telling the stories of, like, I don't know, Mitchell doesn't talk very much about it. I talk a lot about it. Like, it's
Almost every day.
like, it's hard to get answers out of him. And it's like, no, it's not me, guys. It's not me.
You mean
So,
the
yeah.
answers you want.
So I wrote a letter when I realised that God was dead and Joseph Smith was a liar. I realised that, and I wrote a letter to all my siblings and my parents, and it said, "Oh shit, guys, we were raised in a cult, and I hope that the cult doesn't come between us as a family." And it definitely did, and it proved one of my sisters right when she said that we were all raised in Jesus' orphanage. I think I added the Jesus. We were all, or you did maybe. We were all raised in the orphanage, but the point is, my parents as well. Also my mother, also my father, we were raised in the Mormon
Right,
orphanage.
they were as well raised.
Right.
Yeah.
We were all raised in the same cult, and I'm sad that the cult was stronger than the family. But
It's weird. 'cause
I'm
I've
sad
got
that I'm not
data
surprised.
Of my dad being raised Mormon and my mom being raised Lutheran, and I can see her being more abusive, and so I can see from another perspective of no, it's all fucking Abraham's religions that fuck up these people's brains.
He was the one who came up with
It's not
circumcision.
just Mormon. It's not just Jehovah's Witness.
The blood altars. Like, how can they? It's like, It's like, no, we're the new Aztecs. You don't understand. We don't roll the heads down the temple stairs anymore. Yeah, we did that before because it was necessary right up until the eclipse of whatever year, and now we don't. It's all done. You see?
It
we
was
don't have to.
necessary then
Right, and it's like,
for
cool.
different people.
You're still in a blood cult. It's still founded on that disgusting shit. It still is.
That's
Cult
fucking
is
hilarious.
stronger than family. It still says in that Bible, if there is a family of 5, I will break it up. But I swear that this family will not be. Jesus won't break up this one. I will prove him a liar. I've got to go now, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your day.
Never seen a blue sky. Yeah, I can feel it reaching out and moving closer. There's something about blue. Ask myself what it's all for. You know the funny thing about it, I couldn't answer. No, I couldn't answer. Things are turning deeper shade of blue, and images that might be real, maybe illusion, keep flashing off and on. So free. is clearer now. Life is just a dream, you know, that's never ending. I'm ascending.